in Islamic knowledge. She got a PhD in Islamic studies, but we could really call it Mislamic studies, right? Anyway, if we go on then to the deviant tafsirs. Oh, I didn't bring the details there. After that, we'll go into the... how do I get back? The deviant tafsirs. I'm just going to give you a few examples. Each group represents... we're looking at the tafsirs of some of the major deviant sects amongst the ummah today. Among them are the rationalists. The rationalists. Those who feel that reason should precede revelation. Reason precede revelation. Meaning if it doesn't agree with your mind doesn't accept it, it's not logical to you, then you have the basis for rejecting it. Right? Whereas the correct methodology, right, as Ali ibn Abi Talib had said, if the religion were based on logic and opinion, if this was really the foundation of the religion, then we should wipe the bottom of our socks and not the top. Right? When making masah, right? Instead of washing your feet, you're wearing socks or shoes, whatever, according to, the particular descriptions of the socks and the shoes. If you put those on when you had wudu, for the rest of the day, for 24 hours, you can wipe on it when it comes to the washing of the foot when making wudu. You don't have to take your socks off and shoes off and wash them each time. So we know this is masah, when you wipe your hand on it as you wipe your head, wet hand. So he said, if the religion were based purely on logic and reason, then we should wipe the bottom of our socks and not the top. Why? Because when you walk on your socks, what part gets dirty? The bottom, right? When we wash ourselves for wudu, we wash the parts which get exposed. Your face, your ears, hands. These are the parts which tend to get exposed to dust and dirt and whatever. So in the part of the wudu is cleaning, physical cleaning. Though the spiritual element is greater, a part of it is physical. So he said, logically we should wipe the bottom and not the top. But he said, I saw Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam wipe the top, not the bottom. I saw Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam wipe the top and not the bottom. So what is he establishing here? That we follow revelation. No, our mind has to accept that revelation and act on it. So we apply it. But we don't use our logic and our reason to determine whether we accept that revelation or not. No. Revelation comes first, then the mind comes afterwards in its application. But we don't judge the acceptability of revelation based on what is logical and reasonable to ourselves. Now, it may be based on criteria set by the scholars. For example, a hadith comes to us, right? The hadith, اطلب العلم ولو في الصين, seek knowledge even unto China. Okay? Now this is very logical. Islam says we should seek knowledge. Prophet ﷺ said, seek knowledge, seeking knowledge is compulsory for everybody. So seeking knowledge even unto China, the idea you should go and get that knowledge wherever it is, it's a good idea. Very logical, very reasonable. However, when you go to the science of hadith, and you go and try and find this hadith, you cannot find it in any book of hadith. Not even a fabricated narration. I mean, with a sanad, with a chain, right? A weak narration. So it's completely fabricated. So even though it might be very logical, very reasonable, and even many organizations will put it up as their, as their banner and their logo, but it is a fabrication. And the Prophet ﷺ says, whoever lies in my name will find his seat in the hellfire. So it's not something that we can play about. Whoever lies in my name, this is in Sahih Bukhari, Sahih Muslim, will find his seat in the hellfire. So we have to be very, very careful about what we attribute to Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. So from the science of hadith, now something may be attributed to the Prophet ﷺ, and there is a narration. But when we look into the science of hadith, we confirm that that narration is not authentic. This is using our intelligence here now, and our mind. Following the science, we say we will not accept that hadith because it is not authentic. Not because it went against my logic. There's a difference between the two. One to say because it's not authentic based on opinion of scholars who have analyzed what are the authentic and what are the inauthentic of hadith, and just saying because it goes against my logic. Like, for example, Maurice Bucaille, Dr. Maurice Bucaille, in his book, The Quran, the Bible, and Modern Science. Right? Very good book. Main part of the book, where he talks about scientific miracles of the Quran and the unscientific statements of the Bible, comparing them. Right? Then at the end of it, he starts to attack hadith. And he's attacking hadith under what basis? The hadith of the fly. Prophet ﷺ said, if a fly falls in your drink, what do? Throw it away? No, he said, dip him in, right? And take him out and drink. Because under one wing is disease, and under the other wing is the cure. So Dr. Maurice Bucaille is doctor of medicine. He said, this is preposterous. The only thing we know from the fly is disease. So this could not be correct. Even though it is in Bukhari, we can't accept this. That's his logic and his reason. So we say no. If the chain of narration is authentic, then we accept it. And the issue really is a question of how do we define what is logical and what is illogical. You see? Because what may be logical to you may not be logical to me. There are some common logical things, we have no doubt. The Greeks analyzed and gave some principles of logic. But still, beyond that, what may appear logical to you may not appear logical to me. For him, as a medical doctor, it was illogical that a fly should be dunked in when we know that the fly causes disease. And we don't know of any cure from him. But as a biologist, a scientist in biology, who knows of many instances where a disease and cure exists within the same plant or within the same animal, then it's not illogical. It's not illogical. The snake with poison. If the snake didn't have an antidote to his poison, what would happen? He'd kill himself. Every time he, a poisonous snake, every time he bites an animal, poison comes out. By the time he finishes his meal, he drops down dead himself. Killed by his own poison. So obviously he had to have within himself the antidote to his poison. So it is quite conceivable that both the disease and the cure be in the same animal or plant. And there are many examples from in botany of plants that have both harm which comes from it as well as its antidote. Many, many examples. Also, we can also point out that the absence of knowledge is not itself knowledge. In Arabic they say, عَدَمُ الْعِلْمِ بِشَيْءٍ لَيْسَ بِعِلْمٍ. The knowledge, the absence of knowledge about something is not itself knowledge. Meaning, the fact that you don't know of any cure from the fly doesn't mean there is no cure from the fly. It's just you don't know. That's all you could say is, I don't know. But to say there is no cure, meaning the fact that you don't know of one means there isn't one, that's a very, great claim. Because if you told people, 20 years ago, 50 years ago, 100 years ago, that snake poison is good for the heart. They would say, are you insane? Are you mad? Now, in Bangladesh and elsewhere, they have snake farms in which they harvest the poison of the cobra and other snakes, and they extract from it medicine which is used for heart patients, which breaks down the clots and this, that and the other. They use it for heart patients. In the past, of course, we know when a snake bites you, it stops your heart and you die. Right? So many years ago, it would be completely illogical to make that claim. But now we know that from what was considered harmful for thousands of years to the knowledge of human beings, we now know there is benefit in it. Okay? So, back to the people of logic and reason. In the past, they were known as the Mu'tazila, or the Mu'tazilites. The people of logic and reason. Logic and reason precedes everything else. What they did, they looked at the verse in which the Prophet ﷺ had said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had said, وَإِذْ قَالَ إِبْرَاهِيمُ لِرَبِّهِ قال ربي أرني كيف تحيي الموتى قال أولم تؤمن قال بلى ولكن ليطمئن قلبي. And remember when Abraham said, my Lord, show me how you give life to the dead. Allah replied, do you not believe? Abraham said, yes, I'm asking you in order that my heart be at rest. The masters of logic and reason, they said, this is illogical. That a prophet of Allah would be asking this question, that his heart be at rest. Be at rest in terms of his belief in Allah? How? He is a messenger of Allah. Revelation is coming to him. He needs his heart to be at rest about Allah? No, that's illogical. So what do we do with this verse then? They said, actually, Prophet Abraham had with him a friend, a companion whose name was Heart. Prophet Abraham had with him a companion whose name was Heart. Heart. Qalb. That was his name. So when he was saying, I'm asking you in order that my heart, meaning my friend whose name was Heart, that he may be at rest. Not him. Right? Can we see what has happened here? Where logic and reason led them to distort the meaning of the Quran. To distort. Yes, it's conceivable that somebody could have the name Qalb. There's no doubt. Could have that name. I know in the Indian subcontinent people have all kinds of names here. Right? People choose names by what? You flip open the Quran and put your finger and wherever it falls, now we have a name. So we have Bismillah. Somebody's name is Bismillah. Yeah, you got Bismillah Khan, whatever. Somebody else is called Namal, ant, or Nahal, bee. All kinds of names. Right? So it's conceivable, yes, he could have a friend by the name of Qalb. It's possible. But the point is that, should we be there? Should we go there? No. Another example from another group, the mystics. Mystics are commonly referred to as Sufis, Ahlul Tasawwuf. Sufis whose concern is the spiritual, the inner meanings of things. They say the Sharia, this is the outer. The inner is the tariqah. There's an inner way. That if you only worship according to the outer, you're astray. You're really an idolater. You're worshipping idols. You have not understood the inner. Like the those who worship idols and say that we're not actually worshipping the outer idol that you see, but God who is within the idol. Same kind of mentality. Huh? So, they said, focusing on the inner meanings of things, that when Allah said to Musa, Prophet Moses, اذهب إلى فرعون إنه طغى, go to Pharaoh, for indeed he has transgressed. They said that Pharaoh is not the Egyptian ruler that you know, Pharaoh. That for the ignorant masses, okay, that's what they understand. But for the selected few with the inner understanding, Pharaoh here is actually what? Your heart. Allah was telling Prophet Moses to go to his heart. Because it's the heart which transgresses, isn't it? The heart which leads you into evil, the heart which leads you into good. So this transgressing heart, you need to go to that heart and deal with its transgression. That's what he was telling him. And when Allah told him, وَأَلْقِ أَصَاكَ, throw down your staff, he said, no, Prophet Moses didn't have a staff. Allah wasn't telling him really to throw down the staff. Even though Allah asked him about the staff, and he said, I use it to herd my sheep and so on, so on, so. They say even that usage is clarifying that the staff represented materialism, the material world. So when he was telling him, throw down your staff, he was telling him, cast aside the material world. That which you use to herd your sheep and your, no. Put that aside and trust in Allah.